It's 420 somewhere, and right now that somewhere is here. Welcome to the Cannabist Show. I'm Janae Burris, and here's your host, Jake Brown.
Hey, thanks Janae. Thanks to everyone tuning in. We've got another great show for you today where we talk all things weed.
Hashtag all things weed.
And that's the serious marijuana news, along with the fun stuff as well. And if you visit thecannabis.co right now, you can find out if it's legal to bring weed into Coachella.
Oh, but if you can afford to go to Coachella, you can probably afford a lawyer, so you're fine.
You can also see which influential NFL team owner is calling for an end to the ban on marijuana use by players.
Probably not the cool one, that's for sure.
And you can also see the cannabis calendar, your source for all the 420 events happening around Colorado and the U.S. Janae, welcome back. How was Alabama?
Alabama was beautiful. Unlike Colorado, it's still spring over there. Flowers in bloom, birds chirping, and barbecue flowed like wine. I heard the grow-off was the cannabis event of the year, though.
Oh, thank you.
I heard that.
It was a blast. We had like 380 people show up, which was 80 more than we had room for. Here's the Breaking Fire code. But let's get right into the weekend weed. We're going to start off in Florida, where 52-year-old Jeff Stolowitz was enjoying a nice early morning walk on the beach when suddenly everything changed.
Oh, poor Jeff. That's just the sunrise, Jeff. It scares me too sometimes.
Stolowitz came upon a giant cigar-shaped object, calling 911 when he spotted something resembling blood on the outside. Ooh. In the end, it turned out to be what he found was a waterlogged bale of weed, according to authorities.
Oh man, R.I.P. world's largest blunt. We hardly smoked ye.
Yeah, it was like 10 pounds. I imagine it had to smell like the worst bong water ever. So far, no one has stepped forward to claim it. Moving on to Nevada, home of the infamous sign warning that sale of marijuana will get you life in prison, the state is now desperately looking for people to sell marijuana. Distributors that act as middlemen between grows and dispensaries are in high demand after liquor distributors have been slow to apply.
Oh yeah, whiskey will certainly slow down response time. I know this for sure.
I know this all too well. Officials pointed out that some hesitance may be related to the fact that liquor distributors work closely with the ATF, so the prospect of handling the still federally illegal weed might not appeal to them. But if you're looking for a job that involves selling large quantities of weed, applications are expected to go online in May or June, so dust off that resume.
And also drop that tie-dye backpack and Febreze that hemp suit. Time to go to work, kids.
Finally, let's turn to Maryland, where researchers at Johns Hopkins University have decided they don't want to experiment with pot.
But college is the place for experimentation. I would never have known I was into female comedians if not for experimenting in college.
Well, the school had agreed to work on a project headed by the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, or MAPS, to determine the efficacy of medical marijuana on treating post-traumatic stress disorder. 18 months after they joined, they've now pulled out without enrolling a single veteran in the program. A spokesman for MAPS says that this is a result of them criticizing the quality of government-provided research-grade weed, as we've covered here on the Cannabist Show.
Oh yeah, that 8% THC government weed that doesn't hold a candle to the flower you can buy at a dispensary here. Might as well just research chamomile tea.
I'm in on that research, but to be fair, I talked smack about that same government weed in an interview with the Washington Post, but apparently the MAPS interview with PBS was the straw that broke the university's back, as 2 days later, they pieced out. Now the study will still conclude in Arizona, but because of the high concentration of military veterans in the Maryland and Virginia areas, losing Johns Hopkins is considered to be a big blow to the research.
It's really unfortunate that the veterans dealing with PTSD and chronic pain are the ones who are going to suffer the loss the most.
In 2012, Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper became a reluctant figurehead of one of the most unique social and political experiments in recent years, when voters approved a ballot measure to legalize recreational weed. A lot has changed since that vote, and we recently sat down with Hickenlooper to talk about an industry that's at a crossroads and potentially in the crosshairs of the federal government. Hickenlooper addressed questions about how the law is progressing, bids to have pot clubs and marijuana delivery in Colorado, as well as what he would say to Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Hickenlooper said that Colorado's experiment is, quote, going through an evolution that I think is generally positive.
I would argue to the Attorney General that the country has potential benefit to be able to see this experiment through to a natural conclusion.
In a related development, Hickenlooper and 3 fellow governors who had legal rec states issued an open letter earlier this week. The 4 put pen to paper and told Sessions, quote, "Engage with us before embarking on any changes to regulatory and enforcement systems." Visit thecannabis.co for the exclusive interview with Hickenlooper and to read the 4 governors' letter to the Trump administration. For The Cannabist, I'm Alicia Wallace with this week's Quick Hit.
Thanks, Alicia. Our first guest runs one of the most influential hemp industry organizations in the world. Please join me in welcoming Colleen Keahey to The Cannabist Show. Hello. Thanks so much. Oh my gosh, all that real clapter is amazing. Did I say clapter? I think I just conflated laughing and clapping. Congratulations, you are now the executive director of HIA. So you're about 3 months in now. How is it changing under your leadership?
Yeah, so I think one of the first things that happened was us to really look at what was happening with the DEA and the marijuana extract rule. That include language, all genus cannabis basically coming under that, and we really felt there should be an exemption for industrial hemp because of the Farm Bill,
right.
And so much more. I mean, we have had hemp commodities in the United States for forever, and it's time to really stand up for the phytocannabinoids that come from industrial hemp and their place in the market as well. So, yeah, right in the door. It was a HIA versus DEA petition, and we've got another issue pending with the DEA as well to seek further clarification. So, yeah.
So are you guys suing the DEA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
We are.
That kind of makes you my hero. I'm also worried for you. What happens next?
Please, don't be worried for me.
Okay.
I'm standing up with 500 other companies who are, cultivators, business owners who are vested in the hemp industry. So this is not my fight. This is the industry's fight. So I feel pretty good about what we're doing together.
Nice. So you kind of you started off in Tennessee, and now you're kind of on the national stage.
Right.
In HIA's opinion, is it legal to sell CBD products through the mail over state lines?
Sure. Well, that is a tricky one for a lot of reasons. The first would be that the DEA has really confused the public about what is a controlled substance in terms of just that molecule, just CBD. Because a year ago, if you went to the DEA diversion control website, you would see CBD had its own code on the list in addition to marijuana. So that was incredibly confusing.
Right.
And actually, Jake, you may or may not know this, but last year when I was visiting you and Sam, I called the DEA in your living room and asked them about this. I got the DEA, I got a DEA
so they're
representative.
watching?
Yeah. I got them on the phone, and I was speaking with this woman, and I was asking her about that very code because there was all this stir-up happening on Facebook, and I thought, can I just settle this with a phone call, which is pretty naive, right? I mean, you're not going to be able to just call up the DEA and say,
hello,
hey,
DEA,
can
I
you
have
clarify
one question.
This? Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, the representative I spoke with certainly danced around the issue, but said, hey, if that is on our list, then it is illegal. Now, that was the DEA's perspective. I think when we're looking at this from a legal standpoint, the Farm Bill allows for the cultivation of industrial hemp as defined, 3/10 or less THC, by programs, agricultural pilot programs. And these are in a number of states. We had 15 states cultivating last year. So as far as the HI is concerned, we're here to protect those who are cultivating legally through the Farm Bill.
So if I'm sitting at home and I'm like, hey, I want to order some CBD, do you guys think that's legal?
Yes.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
How can consumers...
It's hemp-derived CBD.
Right, hemp-derived CBD.
Because there's a whole variety in that marketplace. That's such a loaded question, Jake.
I know. I think that one of the things that's really troubling for consumers right now is that there are a lot of people that hear about the benefits of medical cannabis and they go, hey, I have a sick child at home. My wife was just diagnosed with cancer. They're looking for some kind of options.
Right.
And the CBD market, largely unregulated. How do consumers who are looking for health, the health benefits of CBD, protect themselves and know where to buy?
Oh, Now, this is really the big gap, I think, for the hemp industries who are cultivating for phytocannabinoids and developing products, is that, you know, we are operating without you know, some self-regulation and some safety standards right now. You know, people are taking it upon themselves, the companies that they're running, to be GMP, to, you know, step up and do things like would be done in commercialized industry.
What does GMP stand for, really quickly?
Good manufacturing practices.
Okay.
And we need those for anyone who's going to be developing products that are going into the market that are made for human consumption. And so, you know, it's really incumbent, and I hate this, it's incumbent on the consumer at this point to really do the research about that product.
Right.
And, you know, you want those product makers to have done their own third-party testing on their own products and have that information available to the consumer.
Right.
So that's what consumers should be looking for.
So look for the test results.
That's right.
What about where the cannabis comes from? Because I know in Colorado, you know, hemp, one of the big issues was that a lot of the hemp that was being grown here, all that seed had to go right back into the fields. They were having a real hard time. And so a lot of products that are derived from, you know, hemp hearts weren't available. Is that changing now? I mean, is there more kind of domestically grown hemp for consumption out there, or is it still a lot of it coming from Canada, Europe, China?
Well, when we're talking about hemp grain for food items, we're starting to turn the corner on that in the United States. I'm really proud to announce that a couple of the members of the HIA have done this. They've purchased domestically cultivated hemp grain for their products. That would be Evo Hemp, and then also Victory Hemp Foods in Kentucky. Both of those companies are domestically sourcing to some degree, maybe not totally, but I'm sure their goal is to get there. I shouldn't speak on behalf of them, but if you're an American
You speak
company,
on behalf of the industry.
Well, but for their particular businesses, you know, I would say it's probably their goal to have a domestically sourced materials, you know, 100%, and that's what we need to be going for all of the food makers and manufacturers here in the United States. I mean, that's the whole thing. Hemp is a food, people.
Yes.
And we need moms, you know, feeding this to their kids. This is a complete omega. It's the perfect, you know, omega 3 to 6 ratio. It's essential fatty acids. It's got gamma-linolenic acid. I mean, these are the things.
That's why I take it as the gamma-linolenic acid. Put it right. I can barely spell my middle name. But I put like hemp in my smoothie this morning. I think it's interesting too how many kind of bath and body like home products now contain you know, hemp seed oil that, you know, may not necessarily be rich in CBD, but it's just really good for moisturizing.
Right, it's a fantastic emollient.
I feel like I'm doing an infomercial for hemp products.
Yes, yeah.
Kind of moving nationally, what do you think the big changes for hemp are going to be in 2017?
Ooh, 2017. Let's start with the new Industrial Hemp Farming Act. We've yet to see it, but let's hope that it's even more progressive than the previous bill. Although the previous bill in the last Congress was great. I mean, it just defines hemp and removes it from being conflated with marijuana in the Controlled Substance Act. That's really what we need to happen. I hope that we'll have more pressure. I can tell you as of today, breaking news, I'm so excited that...
breaking now.
Yeah, breaking now. U.S. Judiciary Chairman, Congressman Bob Goodlatte was in the Judiciary hearing today and point blank asked the DEA representative if the marijuana extract rule was put in place to harass hemp farmers. Like that is on video today. So
That's
amazing.
Some aggressive language. I like that.
It's great because what it does is shows that there is a turn in the understanding of what hemp farmers are doing and bringing to this country. And for Congressman Goodlatte, we're happy to hear this from him because he's the chairman of Judiciary Committee. And that has been a particular area where we wanted to make sure that Judiciary understood we are talking about agricultural commodities. And from his own mouth, he mentioned commercial viability and that we don't want to prohibit these great products from going into the market. This came out of his mouth. So
thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. We are really happy to hear that. So I'm hoping that this will be backed by a new Industrial Hemp Farming Act to push that issue. Let's go ahead and legalize hemp across the country and remove it from the Controlled Substance Act.
Okay, well, so there are some people that would have a hard time with that, specifically people that are proponents of medical marijuana, where you've seen a lot of states pop up and they have kind of these CBD-only medical marijuana laws, and CBD isn't effective for a wide number of different conditions, or sometimes you need the right mix of THC and CBD. What's HIA's stance on these, no THC, high CBD laws, and where that may conflict with people that need, more robust medical marijuana plans?
No doubt. I don't think that so far it's been really complicated to, from the overview of the industry to just get behind CBD-only legislation. Okay. Honestly, I don't feel that HIA has ever really been involved in only CBD legislation. Our view is that industrial hemp is hemp. It's all parts of the plant hemp, and largely we don't even bring up the issue of the compound isolated as CBD. I mean, let's legalize industrial hemp, and what we do with the plant after that, I mean, it's part of industrial hemp. So I think that the low THC bills that are CBD focused, I feel like they're a little short-sighted. We wish that those bills would get on board and put their resources and momentum behind just industrial hemp laws. If that's what they want to do, but I understand there have been a lot of cultivars out there that are sort of between the definition of industrial hemp and marijuana, and so for anything that's above the 0.3, there's probably a parent lobby who's been educated about the varieties that have higher THC ratios that are good for them and their particular treatment. But I mean, that's not necessarily an industrial hemp issue, and I would support that. Medical marijuana or any cannabis initiative that's above the definition of hemp, they should move forward with those. But I think that in that case, just go for marijuana instead of making low THC cannabis laws. But I understand in conservative states, that's usually the only ends.
That's like the gateway drug for them. It's like they get a little bit of the...
Well...
okay, so last question for you. Do you think we'll see a day where the 0.3 will be gone? Maybe we get up to 1. Maybe we get up to 2%. Because, I mean, that's still really hard. I mean, listen, I could smoke a lot of hemp at that, THC percentage.
So... I think that industrial hemp will maintain. Okay. And the reason for this is because it is an outdoor agricultural commodity. And so to the extent that we want to see row crops for bioeconomies, bioplastics, biofuels, those types of things, we'll want to make sure that that's not being regulated by something like something that is made for human consumption or for health would be regulated. Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that it would remain an agricultural issue, separate from maybe a health issue.
Awesome.
So we've got so many subsectors in the hemp industry that I think we're going to have to, try to have the long view for all of them, but we're going to try and maintain as ag.
Awesome. Colleen, thank you so much. Yeah. We're going to be back with you shortly, but first, here's our own definer of dank, Professor Pat, with this week's entry into the new Cannabist lexicon.
Dank. Dual use, meaning either very strong-smelling, high-quality weed, or as a general term for anything good. As in, this bag of Blue Dream is dank, or this burrito is dank.
Thanks, Professor. Our next guest has created Full Spectrum CBD extract at the age of 27. Please welcome Will Kleidon to the show. Will, come on in. How are you, man?
Good.
Grab a seat on the couch.
Hey.
All right, so thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
One thing that I keep seeing when we're talking about Ojai is the word bioavailability. And I definitely know what that means. But could you explain to our listeners specifically how you micronize hydrosomes?
Yeah, so what we do is we've figured out a way to encapsulate full spectrum cannabinoid-rich oil in micro bubbles of water. So the reason that's important is with a regular CBD oil or THC oil, the body can't absorb fat. So we've got these water layers on our mucosa membrane, our mouth, as well as our stomachs. And when you eat a regular CBD oil or THC oil, it takes about 30 minutes for the body to basically break it down into these nanoparticles that are encapsulated in water so it can get past the water layer.
And so that's where people have a bad time is they go, oh, you know, you eat a little bit and then you're like, I don't feel anything. And then you eat a lot more. And then time passes at an incredibly slower, fast rate.
Exactly.
Okay.
And also the metabolite, when you eat a THC metabolizes into delta 8 THC, so that actually can be slightly more psychoactive and last longer. So there's that time lapse issue, and by the time that it actually gets encapsulated in water in our body, 90% of it's been destroyed. So if you eat 20 milligrams of regular CBD, you're actually or THC, you're only getting 2 milligrams in the blood. So it's really poor bioavailability. So bioavailability means how much your body can actually use of what you eat.
Okay, so like when people would take like a THC edible,
yep.
and a lot of that'll hit your liver, right? It's
Correct.
Like the first pass.
So when it's in the gut, the liver will be interacting with it with enzymes, and in that first pass digestion, 90% gets destroyed. Okay. And it's the same with CBD. So you're paying for 100% CBD. Like if you eat 20 milligrams, you're actually only using 2 by your body for regular CBD products.
Okay, now is that why I have hallucinated after I've eaten edibles, but I could smoke and never hallucinate?
With high THC, yeah. Well, it's more so the
Don't try that at home. I know it sounds like it might be fun. It's not.
We've actually patented the antidote to that.
Really?
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wait, how can you even get a patent?
What was that?
You can patent something like that?
Oh yeah,
because I'm assuming there's no cannabinoids in it.
Oh, you can patent cannabinoids. There's tons. So for instance, Procter and Gamble actually have patents for cannabis-infused milk, and they've had that for 15 years.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Aren't there like natural cannabinoids that occur in breast milk?
Anandamide. So anandamide is what we produce.
I don't know where I pulled that out of. Thank you for correcting me.
Well, no, you weren't wrong. So anandamide is our body's one of the endocannabinoids. So it basically feeds the CB1 receptor, and it also has other mechanisms. But the breast milk is so important because it's nourishing the child's endocannabinoid system, and every single vertebrae has an endocannabinoid system. And that system's job is to regulate homeostatic balance for the entire body. And what that means is it makes sure that every single system, from digestive system to reproductive system to nervous system to skeletal system, your brain, they're all functioning at the optimal levels at the right time together. So its job is kind of like the conductor of the symphony of the entire body.
Okay.
And we've been eating cannabinoids and smoking for thousands and thousands of years. And when we artificially cut it out of the diet in the 40s, coupled that with an exponential increase of chronic oxidative stress, every time we have an oxidating event, we actually destroy the anandamide. So we actually have a general population who is nutrient deficient in cannabinoids. And that's why it's vital we take CBD when we're healthy, is to get that endocannabinoid system back up online and operate it at optimal levels.
Okay, so you're putting these cannabinoids in these tiny bubbles.
Yes, so basically we do what the body does outside the body. So what that means is, instead of waiting 30 minutes and having 90% of it destroyed, the second you put it in your mouth, it gets absorbed instantly because the body believes it's water. So it intakes it and then it diffuses out of the water bubble and goes directly into your bloodstream. And that has tremendous benefits for multiple reasons. One is it's way more affordable, so the way that we're doing it, because
you can essentially take a small amount and you're getting
it's at least, so we're running pharmacokinetic studies, but based on white papers of comparable processes for curcumin. Now, curcumin has the similar pharmacokinetics. Pharmacokinetics means how it works in the body, the bioavailability.
And then curcumin is
from turmeric. So there's a delta 9 THC in turmeric.
Really?
Yep.
Yay.
But it's not tetrahydrocannabinol. It's tetrahydrocurcuminol. And anyways,
was that what Malcolm X was getting high on in prison?
I don't think it's It's non-psychoactive, but
Okay.
and it's not a cannabinoid, but it is another delta 9.
cannabinoids are everywhere.
Yes and no. They're in predominantly in hemp and cannabis. So hemp is a legal definition. It's not really a botanical definition.
Fair
so
enough.
we arbitrarily drew the line at 0.3. There's a Canadian. He said, okay, this is how we distinguish. You're not going to get high on it. The THC is so low. But we're just drawing the line at 0.3, and so there's been a lot of misinformation of like, oh, hemp is the male plant, and hemp-derived CBD is inferior to medical cannabis CBD, and that's also very much untrue, but it does depend. There's good cultivars, there's good cultivation practices, there's good soil usage, which are clean soil, which is critical. But really, all the body cares about is a full spectrum extract with terpenoids and other cannabinoids for the entourage effect.
Now, where do you get your hemp from?
Currently, we've been when I started the company, the Farm Bill hadn't been passed, and so the HIA versus DEA in the CSA
That's a lot of acronyms.
Got some alphabet. The CSA explicitly says that the stalks, the stems, the oil, the hemp seed oil, the seeds, and the curd. So it distinguishes between oil and hemp seed oil, which is really important because when they were writing that, they didn't know what delta-9 THC was. And so in their terminology, they exempted resin from the exemption of the CSA, but what they meant by resin most likely was high concentrations of psychoactive concentrations of THC, but they distinguished between the oil and the hemp seed oil. So at that point, before the Farm Bill was written, which legalized hemp at the federal level grown under the Farm Bill, we had to source from Europe. So we found a source that we always was reliable. I started the company.
Give up your sources.
But we always do third-party batch testing. We post that on our website so the consumer knows exactly what
Just
they're
like what
getting every
Colleen was
single
talking
time.
about. That's how you verify.
That's critical. And right now, we're actually in escrow. We're getting a farm in Oregon. We're going to get it certified organic because the USDA just put out a memo saying that farms grown under the Farm Bill actually can be recertified organic. So we're going to have the only water-soluble, full-spectrum, certified organic CBD products out there.
We have a problem.
What?
Okay, so the NOP, the National Organics Program, has issued their statement that they will allow the certification, or they'll work with the USDA to certify hemp as defined in the Statement of Principles. Well, guess what that excludes?
Huh.
The flower.
Oh, does it?
Sure does.
You're kidding.
This is a big problem, everybody. And April 19th, 20th, and 21st in Denver, the National Organic Standards Board is going to be having a hearing. HI is helping to organize so that we can show that the USDA Statement of Principles definition is incongruent to that which is in the Farm Bill. So for anybody who's wanting to become organic, have organic hemp, which we all want because this is what we're consuming, we've got to make sure that the definition in the Farm Bill is what's being recognized as certifiable versus that which is in the USDA Statement of Principles that came out in August of 2016. It is not okay to certify parts of a plant. We'll certify the whole plant, and that's what's needed.
What's their logic behind saying not the flower?
It's probably bureaucracy and pressure from lobbyists, including
DEA.
Pharma.
I would say DEA was helping.
We can get them on the phone.
Well,
in your house.
They probably
We
got your
could call
house
them.
already.
Exactly. They're listening.
but yeah, so this is an issue.
Okay, so that's great to know.
Yeah, and so
there
we
is
need your
one-
statement to back up.
I
that,
will be wholeheartedly part of that.
Good.
You're going to come back out from California
Anytime.
hit the slopes.
Well, so in that case, there's a
You can't.
little
By the
obstacle,
way,
but-
Will, you can certify organic, but the problem is the
you cannot
moment
extract it
the
for the
moment that
flowers.
we try to say we have organic, we have an organic phytocannabinoid product. You know, the USDA could say no, because our definition doesn't include that. So that's the real problem.
I think that's, it's been a constant source of discussion here in Colorado, too, is that people can't call their product that's on the shelves organic. And I think that there are a lot of people that have a lot of confusion, especially for consumers. They just go, hey, I want to know what's going in here. You have to list the pesticides on the side, but people don't know, is this an organic product or not? Are these best?
And that's why transparency is critical. So it's going to be longer battle to get higher THC cannabis certified organic, but it's inevitable. But the best way is to look at the batch testing reports, and it's important to do batch testing, not just list one batch.
Make sure that there's a date on there. Make sure
correct,
it's fairly
and it matches your
recent,
product,
matches the
and test for pesticides and herbicides. Because the USDA standards really aren't that high of standards anyway. So we're going to be doing polyculture systems, permaculture design, so it's beyond organic. And actually, I like to build in contingencies. So I've already talked with
beyond organic.
Beyond organic. No, it's important because the current standards are really not set up for what's regenerative agriculture. You can still monocrop, you can still add a high amount of amendments, you don't have a healthy soil flora. So there's a way to do it where you're actually working in harmony with nature, and it takes it to the whole next level. So one of those methods is biodynamic. We've talked to Stellar. Stellar is willing to certify our farm biodynamic. So we will have, I guess before certified organic, we'll do a biodynamic crop.
And your farm is located where?
It's in Oregon in the Applegate.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous country.
And the reason we did that is because California's legislature copied Canada's archaic law that exempted us from being able to harvest the flowers. And Canada, I believe, is actually changing that specifically to grow CBD because it's everyone needs it and it's exploding. So
that Justin Trudeau, he's always trying to show us up now.
But Oregon did it properly, and we can do a full extract that's legal at a federal level and at a state level as per the Farm Bill.
Now, does your product include terpenes as well?
Always. So you need a full spectrum in terpenes.
That's what when people hear full spectrum, that's what they should think.
Beyond single molecule. So the single molecule, like a CBD isolate, really isn't effective for your body in terms of nourishing the endocannabinoid system holistically. So I liken it to like the celloist of the symphony without the symphony orchestra, whereas a full spectrum is the entire symphony orchestra working together and giving you a synergy or entourage effect with the celloist in there. So it's really important when people are looking to nourish their system, whether they're healthy or they need to bring it even more into balance, to be getting a full spectrum product. And on top of that, the terpenes are fascinating in that they can basically, I talked to Dr. Michelle Sexton, who's one of the leading researchers on terpenes and cannabis, and I was getting from playing around that terpenes can actually direct the cannabinoids to the receptors of your body that they already have an affinity to. So for instance, like a beta-pinene or alpha-pinene, that goes for promotion of cognition and clarity in the brain, whereas beta-carotene is...
myrcene would be
myrcene is more for inflammation and which is like in pepper. And so cannabis is one of the most rich terpene producers and diverse terpene producers out there. Hops comes close because they're the only two cousins in the cannabis family. But you can get terpenes from any essential oil of any plant. And they work the same way in the body. Like a linalool, which is in lavender and certain strains of cannabis, is more relaxing and calming. And so it's going to go to those receptors of your body and target them. Now, what we're finding is that they'll actually act as little tugboats, and they'll take the CBD or the THC to the receptors they're going to, which is pretty profound. So like a citrine,
I'm just trying to think of how to get it back into the orchestra metaphor.
Yes.
But I love the tugboats
so they're
too. So I mean, this is really a win-win for me.
I've been struggling with that one too.
So they're going to take the THC, they're going to take the CBD.
Where they're already
these
going.
Are the CB1, CB2 receptors you want to get.
So you know how some bud smells good one day and then the next day it doesn't smell good to you. Potentially. So your nose knows.
I smelled one today.
And and you're like, but then the next day you might be like, oh yes. And that's because those terpenes are going to direct the cannabinoids to the receptors that your body needs for that day. And so
so it's like pheromones in a way? You're kind of matching?
Yes. And the best way to get terpenes in your blood is through inhalation. So through the nose, the terpenes can actually get absorbed past the blood-brain barrier, and then they'll just shoot off and do their thing. So, like citrus essential oils or like a tangy strain high in limonene, they'll target their mood boosting, but they'll also target the digestive system. So if you smell it, it will go in and do its thing. But if you eat a regular CBD oil or cannabis oil, because it takes 30 minutes for it to get in the blood, the timing is off. But with our encapsulation technology, and because it absorbs immediately upon contact, you can actually put the right dose in and then smell a terpene blend that you want for your body, and you can direct the experience of your use on the spot, custom for your needs.
So I'm gonna,
which is pretty.
So I'm gonna consume the CBD orally. Then I'm just going to take a waft, just
waft it up, and now you'll have basically a strain specific. You can choose your strain in a way, and direct the outcome of the effects that you want. So if you want to sleep, you can
get out
100%. And
this sounds amazing.
It's incredible.
This is the crazy future of cannabis.
It is. And another cool thing with the encapsulation is that CBD seems to have a multiple bell curve of efficacy. So your sweet spot for the dose, if you go over it, it actually becomes slightly less effective. And we're finding that there's more than one bell curve of efficacy. And what's fascinating, in the practitioners we work with, we've got leading orthopedic surgeons on our board, different naturopaths, thought leaders, and Chris Kresser, they work with our products. And what we're finding is that because it absorbs immediately, it has a unique effect in the cannabinoid receptors of the tongue. And when you take our product, it will actually go from bitter and get sweeter as you approach the sweet spot. And then if you go over that bell curve, it will actually start going bitter again. And you can dose back up to the next sweet spot. And when you get that dose, people with our product tend to feel it kick in right away to 5 minutes max, which is game changing.
When it kicks in, what are they experiencing?
Well, everyone's different, right? So it depends on what your body needs. But if you're generally healthy and you just need to optimize your endocannabinoid system, most people will experience a cognitive boost, enhanced clarity of thought. It actually, one of the ways that CBD works in the body is it boosts your natural levels of anandamide, and they've found the biochemical makeup of flow state includes a peak of anandamide with balanced dopamine, serotonin. So CBD actually puts you into
brain hacking.
Oh yeah,
or
people are already using biohacking with. Oh yeah, it's a nootropic. It's like it's one of the best nootropic on the planet, and it doesn't have. Yeah. It's a left-handed ligand. It's got your body it's biocompatible, and that's a little oversimplified, but
yeah, that's what it sounded like. Oversimplification.
I didn't know what Will said.
Well, I just want to, before we bring Colleen back in, is it true that the president of Ojai is a stuntman?
Yes, he is, and that's why he loves taking the products. He's
before stunts, or is he a retired stuntman?
He's actually flipping a car today as we speak.
Oh, way.
That's amazing.
But he is retired. He's coming on full time, and he's already. But he's finishing up some work. He's working with his brother, who directs Blue Bloods.
I have older relatives that like that. I'm sorry, what do I say nice about
J-Lo was on there, right?
That's awesome. All right, I want to bring Colleen back, and I want to ask you both, we ask everybody when they sit down on the couch, what is your preferred method of cannabis consumption? Do you like the flower? Do you like concentrates? Do you like edibles?
Oh.
What did edibles throw you through a loop?
I do not like edibles. I don't know. It just I've always had a bad experience. I hate to say that, actually.
Did you eat too much?
I guess so. Probably.
What was the last time you had an edible?
Oh.
You're like, it's been a while.
Well, I guess over the weekend I tried a little, a little 10 milligram piece of chocolate. And actually that wasn't a bad experience, so I regret. I should.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
But that's not my favorite way. In fact, I am not I don't consume that much cannabis, but in terms of how I use industrial hemp, I would say probably nutraceutically, like through my my self-care products.
Okay.
That's what I'm mostly into.
Do you have like a favorite? I know you probably couldn't
I'm a big
say
fan
any
of the
brands.
Wonder Seed. The Wonder Seed is fantastic. Yeah, their facial regimen is amazing. So
there's a whole facial, a hemp facial regimen.
Yes, there is. Yes, in fact. I start with Dr. Bronner's, you know, my all-in-one hemp soap. And then, you know, I'm following it up with, which I also use Wonder Seeds facial soap sometimes too, and the Fresh Daisy, by the way.
The Fresh Daisy?
Yes.
I like
and
the
then,
lavender. I'm a big spring lavender fan.
All right. And then follow it up with the facial lotion. And that's how I use hemp every day.
Seriously, I'm gonna have to try that. I haven't washed my face in like years. It's so gross. I'm so gross.
Where do you buy your hemp products? Is this online or in
so
stores?
I try to find them within my local community, and Middle Tennessee's Sunshine Nutrition is where I usually go to find these products. But I've been really lucky to have Wonder Seed as a member of the Ojai, and Teresa gifted me my last birthday some products, which I'm still using today. So thanks, Teresa.
But that's big, right? Is to go and support hemp in the community so that people know, hey, keep stocking it, keep it on the shelves.
When we were working on legislation in Tennessee, I went to Sunshine Nutrition that had the bins of where they were buying the whole bulk hemp seed, and I scooped it out and I made little hemp sacks full of hemp seed, took them up to the committee that was hearing the bill that day and said, I bought this in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It's time for us to legalize it. I even had photos, you know, of, hey, this came from a bin.
Yeah, there's just a big,
we have someone buying this wholesale, And so it's time for farmers in the state to start growing it. And that was a really powerful message, and it's not that hard to pull off. Hemp is almost in every retailer.
Yeah, that's, I saw it in Walgreens the other day.
That's right.
It's like there's bars here.
It's always been, for millennia, kind of ubiquitous in human life. Like we've eaten it, we've used it, we've smoked it, we've used it for fiber.
Fed the animals.
Well, that's it, and that's how people ask. Well, how are they getting CBD? Well, they were likely making teas and also smoking it. THC really got bred up after Prohibition, but there was more of a balance of CBD. So people were. Even George Washington talks about separating the male plants from the female plants of his Indian variety, which had higher THC. So that's kind of a nod to what people were cultivating it for. But it was 100% used as animal fodder. And so those cannabinoids would be decarboxylated in the body and then in the food. So people were eating cannabinoids as vital micronutrients for thousands of years. And so it's time to bring it back and let people know that, hey, it's not something taboo. It's actually a staple of our ancestors globally. And it's really the most important thing. To take care of your endocannabinoid system means you're taking care of every other system of your body.
That's right.
Speaking of bringing it back, I want to know, preferred consumption, do you do edible, it seems like that'd be an obvious answer. Maybe you're a flower guy, maybe you like concentrates, I don't know. Well, I wouldn't put you in a box.
Thank you. I like, well, it depends on what I like outdoor flower if I occasionally want higher THC.
Okay. So Colorado's doing nothing for you there.
I like that because the terps tend to be different from outdoor. But edibles for CBD, I like my elixirs, just because I can get the perfect dose for my body for that day by just using the taste. And so.
So as soon as it hits bitter, you're like, okay.
No, so do you want to try it?
I don't. Producer Vince, can I try it? Can I try CBD? Or is that? Nope. That seems like a big old no. I will someday.
Cool.
I'm sure.
But you take it till it turns sweet, and we're trying to figure out how that is. But most likely, because it literally absorbs immediately, and you've got cannabinoid receptors in the tongue, it's similar to zinc. With zinc, you can use the taste to get the perfect dose. It goes from like a fuzzy to more metallic. So you titrate it up, and then when it turns sweet like honey, like it's literally like a spoonful of honey, that's the perfect dose for that day. And so it shifts day by day, because depending on your oxidative stress levels. So if you've got one day you may need 20 milligrams, the next day you may need 10. But without having the absorption instant, you're shooting in the dark because you don't know where you're hitting, because by 30 minutes you're not going to get the taste change.
Interesting.
So that for
that'll help you. Okay, so that's how you figure out what
the perfect dose for my body for that day. And we can apply that technology to THC. Our IP extends for all cannabinoids, and so we're actually going to eliminate the dosage issue that a lot of people face. Is like they eat a brownie, they wait, and they think it's not kicking in, so they eat 2 more, and then they're laid out.
And then Colleen's like, "This is not for me."
Nope.
So with this, you can actually, we have to be careful because in all likelihood, we're getting way more than 10 times more potent. But you can take the edible and have it immediately hit within a minute to 5 minutes. So it's going to eliminate the missed dosage issue with people.
I had a friend that tried one of the suppositories for the first time.
Yep.
And he was like, that was probably 10 times stronger than what was listed on the package because I'm assuming bioavailability.
There is better bioavailability. Now, if it's not water soluble, you're still dealing with getting it past the mucosa membrane. There's a water layer through that route, but it is going to bypass.
Through that route. That was very tactful, Will. Thank you.
Will. Nice.
We keep it classy here on this show. Colleen, I want to ask you really quick. With all of these CBD companies that have kind of come out, this has been a recent trend. Is HIA just exploding? Is your membership trending way more towards CBD? And how does that kind of impact how you guys move forward?
Absolutely. I would say yes. And we were just recently looking at this a couple of months ago, and it's probably gone well beyond that. But I mean, a third of HIA's membership was made up of CBD cultivators and manufacturers and distributors. And it's a big part of the market right now. I mean, some would argue that the reason we have as much cultivation that we have in the United States right now is because of the CBD market. And so in terms of being grateful to CBD for that, I mean, that's huge. We're able to grow in the United States, and we have this market that we're able to grow for. However, there's so much more that we need to be doing with industrial hemp, like in a big, big way. The long-term view is food, fiber, fuel, infrastructure for housing where we're living in clean homes, because right now we're living in toxic boxes. I mean, it's pretty awful. Also, we're all typically walking in toxic textiles. We need these products that are, you've got poison on right now, Jake.
Is it the corduroy? Because I really don't like corduroy. If I have any reason to get rid of these pants, I'm taking it.
No, but
not on the show. Jesus, that sounded real weird. All right, let's just go to the pot quiz. All right.
All right, let's do it.
Yes, it's pot quiz time. Who wants to start? Oh, Will. Okay, great. All right, so we're going to ask you each a question. If you missed, the other person will have a chance to steal. Let's get it going. All right. As Alicia Wallace covered in the quick hit earlier that you guys did not have a chance to listen to, 4 governors are banding together to ask the Trump administration to engage them before making any changes to federal enforcement of cannabis. Those governors represent Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and which other state? Is it A? Oh, wait, do you want to steal? I'll give you an extra point if you don't.
Alaska.
It is correct. All right, 2 points for Will. I don't think I'm allowed to high-five people. I've just broken the cardinal rule of the pot quiz.
I'm a bad influencer.
No, that was great. We've never had anybody just jump in and guess. So thank you for studying.
He didn't guess.
Let's go to Colleen with question number 2. A bill in the Florida Senate would move to increase the number of medical marijuana licenses. How many do they currently have? Is it A, 4, B, 7, C, 40, or D, 0?
0.
That is incorrect. Will with an opportunity to steal. A, 4, B, 7, C, 40.
B7.
That is correct.
Oh, man.
3 points for Will. Yeah, they only have 7. They're looking to create a structure where they can increase the number. They want to introduce, I think, 4 or 5 more, and then they want to kind of have it scale so that every 75,000 patients that sign up, hey, get another producer on board.
Smart.
It's tough. There are a lot of these states that are kind of onboarding, and they're finding that they don't have enough licenses out there. Michigan being a great example. I think they have like 2 operating in Detroit. They're like, hey, we're a
monopoly.
Yeah. All right, back to Will. I think you have a chance to seal it here. A compromise over potential later hours for dispensaries would allow them to stay open until what time in Denver?
Can I say it?
Yeah.
10 o'clock.
That is correct. What a beast mode.
Wow, Will.
I just want to know the next question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell Jake the next question?
Exactly. My third eye is decalcified from the CBD use.
Oh, man.
I like
want to
that.
get on that plan.
All right, so Will's got 4 points. Our final question is worth 4 points. Colleen, are you ready?
Yes.
According to data from the General Social Survey, support for marijuana legalization is surging, with the exception of seniors 65 and older, and what other group? Stop. No, Will. Is it A, working mothers, B, millennials, C, Republicans, or D, Bernie bros?
Oh, wow. Working mothers?
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Will, is it...
Can you repeat the question?
Is it, according to data from the General Social Survey, support for marijuana legalization is surging, with the exception of seniors 65 and older, and what other group? You have B, millennials, C, Republicans, or D, Bernie bros.
Wow. I guess Republicans?
That is correct. Will, with a record 8 points in the pop quiz. Congratulations. We don't need the tiebreaker. All right. Thanks again to Colleen and Will for joining me, and thanks to everyone who tuned in. If you like podcasts, go subscribe to the show. You can rate it and review it wherever fine podcasts are sold. For everyone here at the Cannabis Show, Janae Burris, producer Vince, I'm Jake Brown. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you next week.
I'm allowed to lose, I choose to win, I'm all in, I'm calling any posse you'll be raising at the end, I say it again, ain't afraid to get in, I be going for the jackpot with ace in my hand, I'm raw.